Great Scott! It's another episode of that Lincoln Green 4-door. Enjoy it! Before you get yourself settled down with a nice warm cup of something, or a cold glass of something, even better, check you're subscribed. If you think you are, double check. If you're not, why? Subscribe. Helps those algorithms. If you want to contact me, then it's churchhouseclassics, and that's all one word, at gmail.com. And if you fancy supporting the channel or just buying me a pint, then there's a PayPal me link scrolling at the bottom of this feature. Both of those links are in the description below this feature. As is the thumbs up button, hit that too. As is the subscribe button, hit that too. As is the comments section. Type in some comments. I do respond. Anyway, enjoy it. Right, Richard, why is the seat out? The seat's out because when it's not bolted in at all, this side, this corner here, is about an inch off the base and all the other three corners are fine. So what's actually happening then is it's rocking around on the four corners here, which is probably why the backwards and forwards motion wasn't working, because it was too damn tight. Now, if we look at this, we can see that that is very clearly quite a long way up compared to that one. Look at the gap here, just about get my finger underneath it, gap here, well there's your inch. And who said an inch didn't matter? So I'm now going to work out whether one of these gearboxes has failed, which is why the seat is not kind of raising and lowering on both sides. And it could just be that someone's had it apart and not put it back together again properly, because this side looks fully up and this side doesn't. So I suspect the gearbox has gone on this side. So you've got the motors at the front here. Control cables go through to gearboxes, which are these bits on the sides here. So let me wire up my switch, connect it into the loom. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close this door because it's just in the way. There we are, door is closed. Oh, while I was taking the seat out, because the wiring for the seat heater comes from the centre console. It looked like the wire was going into the centre console, but it wasn't. It was just tucked underneath. But let's just get Torchy McTorchface sorted out here. Someone's been in here, haven't they? It's all just like they've taken it all out and just thrown it back in again. Oh look, there's the handbrake warning cable. Looks like the end of the handbrake switch is attached to it still. No rear ashtray. Someone's had all this lot out. That's the wire down there for the heated seats. Neither of them's connected, but then they never work on these anyway. Yeah, we're all in a bit of a shambles really. These two yellow relays should sit on these two pegs over here. Right, and it's also all the plastics are all broken and twisted and busted, and we'll be able to fix it, but it's possibly the reason why it ain't working. Now, oh, also, the seatbelt catch, which I said was wobbling around, was actually loose. It was on its last thread. Because I literally just turned it with my fingers and it come off in my hand, so to speak. But on top of all of that, the plastics around the catch are all looking a bit fucked. And that, sure, that should move on there. Anyway, things like that I can get. Might be used old stock, but we can get them. Ooh. Let's go and have a look at the seat mechanism. So now I've got the door closed, we can mount you up. I don't know which pair I need to work with. There's my circuits. There's my switch. So that's the back. The back is right up, and the back. Don't want to do anything now. Might be this battery's going a bit flat. Let's try the next one. Again, circuit. Right, that's the seat back. That's good. This last one should be the front. Ah, come on, you bastard. Push these on here. There you go, on. And circuit. Right, there's something going on because this cable's twitching and the other one's not. So let's... I don't know how these cables come off. I think I actually have to get the gearbox off. I have got some spare cables and I've got some spare gearboxes as well. What we might be doing here though is relocating to the bench so that I can work at a sensible height, because there's something gone wrong with this track and this track at the front. One side's lifted right up, the other side hasn't. And now it looks like I've got everything just jammed up now. So it's probably going to be a case of releasing the gearboxes, getting everything so it's actually baselined, and then resetting it. We'll see if something's broken. And it's not going to take too long, but effectively, if we decide we're going to go down the route of a manual seat rather than an electric seat, then I'll cover that off later on in the video. Right, let me get this thing on the bench. Right, and we fixed it. The easiest way to do this cable here and this cable here are the ones that do each side on the forward lift. That one there does the rear lift. These really long ones do the seat back, and the last two, which are these two, that one there and that one there, do the runners, forwards and backwards. So all you really do, and I'm going to demonstrate on this end one just here, is get yourself something like a 13mm spanner, find a little clip and push the ends of the little clip in. Alright, once they're pushed in, you probably could use a screwdriver to do it. Once the clip has been pushed in a little bit, you should be able to extract the cable. And there's the cable out. Okay, you can then adjust the other side. Alright, and then push the cable back in again and push the clip down from the top. That's the clip just there. Dead easy to do. Now, the other thing I've noticed is there's a whole bunch of little cables and bits and bobs around here which aren't really connected to anything. So there's one, for instance, there, which should, I think, be connected into here. Now, a lot of this stuff has got what to me looks like a non-factory crimp, although it could be a factory crimp, but I doubt it somehow. Not every one of the little gearboxes has these cables. So on this side they do. There's one there. There's an earth. There's one here. There's one up here which is doing nothing. But let's extend the tripod. They are a bit of a fiddle and the camera's in the way, which is really not fucking helping, I'll be honest. Anyway, you can go there. You're out of the way now. Now, if I go here and wiggle, 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 and the cable drops in, and then get hold of the spanner again and push the clip down from the top. You can see the little lugs come through the bottom and now the cable's locked into place. Dead easy, huh? Now, let us now go back to my switch. So I think we are on forwards and backwards. So we're on forwards and backwards. Are you looking? You want to pay attention to this. And then we're going to go to, I think it's the seat, the back of the seat raising and lowering. Not the seat back, the back of the seat swab. That can go on there. And now sometimes this thing, I think the battery's going a bit on the flat side. Might need to get the power probe onto this. And then the last one is the front. Oh, you fucker. Well, that's probably what caused that then, wasn't it? I pulled that out of there. That's possibly what was me issue there, I think. I'll get the power probe. Not ideal, Richard. I'll just wedge it in there and see what happens. It might work, it might not. Let's pop that on there and pop that on there. And power. And it works. Strikes me it should go a bit further than that, but I don't think it will. I think that is pretty much as far as it goes. Now, looking at it, this one's got a fraction of a millimetre at the top, and that one's up against it. And I think we're close enough here. We're within a fart's distance that we can actually get this now sorted out. So I'm going to raise the back of the seat as well, which was, God's sake, probably could do with a better connector on this, really, couldn't I? That one and that one. I'll resolder that in a minute. Let's raise the back up. There we are. And then I get these little wires and bits and bobs to put back on, because I don't know what they all do. There is a terminal on here I can see where that one needs to go to. But someone's definitely been under here, because there's fixings and all sorts of bits missing. So someone's definitely had a go at this. And I suspect what's probably happened is the ECU's failed, and then someone's decided to start pulling it all apart, thinking it'll be the motors that are causing the problem, not the ECU. Taking it all apart, upset all of the balance, and then not knowing where to really go from that point onwards. Right, let's get those cables back on. I can put the seat back in then. Right, to fine tune this, bearing in mind I'm working with this motor here, undo the 4 screws on the motor, loosen the top 2 screws. You can hinge the retaining plate back. You can then lift the motor out very, very slightly and withdraw the cable, okay, from the motor end, and you can then spin the cable to fine tune the adjustment on this side here, which I think is now at the top, as is the other one, and then lift the motor out very slightly, push the cable back in. It's going to go back in, you know it. I know it, you know it, we all know it. There it goes. Right, so the cable goes back in. And then the little groove on here that's held in by the C-clip at that end is actually held in by the metal cage here. And that's just fine-tuned then the movement on that. I guess if you didn't have a power source and you wanted to be able to move the seat down, then in theory you could remove the motor. Or if you had a power probe, you could just stick power onto these two and move the seat. Be easier, wouldn't it? Especially with this plate out of the way, because you can't see it with the plate in the way, but as soon as you lift the plate up you can see the electrical contacts. Right, let's put all this back together now, and then I can put the seat in. Right, that's back in and moves through all movements. It's not completely bolted down yet. We're missing half the fixings anyway. I'll have a chat with my parts genius to see if we can't get those. Right, done that. That's pleased. Now next I think what I'm going to do is mess around with the window switches. So while I've got the glove box out, I'm going to work out why it is that we are missing the inhibit switch in the middle here. So if I lift this bit out, is it going to come out? It's actually broken on the top here anyway. Yeah, it is broken on the top. Someone's glued it by lots of things. Right, that's out anyway. Now we can see on the back here. And then we've got all of the switches are upside down. So really I thought front switches went on the top row with the inhibit switch in the middle. Back switches went on the bottom row. So yeah, I'll start fiddling around with that, I think, and tidying up in here. Now there's actually a wire trapped underneath the edge of the console here, so what I might do is undo the 2 bolts here to lift the back of the console up, so that we can't manoeuvre it and get it all sorted out. I think the rear seat vents aren't attached either. No, they're not. They look like they've been chopped off. They're just dangling in here. So someone's had it all apart and just not put it all back together again nicely, which we can sort out. It's a bit dark in there, folks. But yes, you see the rough idea, don't you? Right, pleased about that. Get the CECU off for a refurb. Then that can go back on. and in the meantime I can clean the switch up and get a new casing for it. Right, taking the console out. Couple of bolts down here. Undo the handbrake mechanism. Retrieve the Stanley blade, and it all comes out. There's then three connectors, two big connectors. One connector goes to the back doors. These two come from the main loom. These bits over here I think are for the automatic gearbox. Hickety up it is. Right then, the whole lot then is on the bench. The reason being is I'm getting inconsistent responses. So, taking the door card off, exposed the motor here, and I'm getting a positive and a negative going through it, no problems at all. I needed this out because it needs to be put back in properly anyway. But also I was struggling to see all the bloody colours on the backs of the relays and everything. It really wasn't easy. So yes, now I've got that lot, I can go through and debug and work out where we're going wrong. I can't see any damage anywhere. The Window Lift ECU is for the driver's window. We know that works. These things, I've done a kind of a fix on these before. They often get a dry joint in them. Well, a short while later, and very, very, very quickly realising that none of this, which is the 92 Range Rover wiring diagram, matched up to anything I've got here, and a very brief look at the two front windows running on incredibly thin wires suggested to me there's a relay involved in here. That bastard there. So last night I printed off the 93 workshop manual, and in here we have got the passenger window switch, black and blue and black and pink. Passenger switch, black and pink, black and blue. So that's the one. So what I can do now is I can find these two wires, so slate and black, slate and red, on the connector in the middle of the car. And they're going to be on this big chunky connector here. Slate and red, slate and black, two on the end here. And I can apply voltage to those two and earth to one, voltage to the other, and see if we can't get the window to go up and down. And if it does, and I've reconnected it here, then we know that the loom from there to here to the motor is good. And it's most likely to be. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put I've just got a jump wire here, which has got two male spades on it. It's quite useful for using as a jump wire in my box of test leads. I've plugged it into one of the connectors. I'll attach it up to the earth on the power probe, and I give voltage to the other terminal on the power probe. You can go and stand over here and see if the window opens or not. Right, okay. Right, so connect up the earth and put power probe into. Right, it clicked, so I'm going to put the earth in the other slot now. So the earth has gone into the grey and black. Power going to grey and red. Right, so that works, and then we'll go into the other slot. I give power now to 12 volts going to the grey and black. Right, well that appears to work, which is good news. Which would then suggest, as I already kind of guessed, that it's the Window Lift ECU that's at fault here. Now the other thing I can do here now, so that's proven the issue here, passenger window lift. What we want to then do is look at the rear window lift, which goes via the relays. Right, for this test I'm just going to run power into slate and brown or slate and earth the other one. We're kind of bypassing relays and God knows what else. Let's see what happens. So for this test I need to use the other connector, the one that goes into the floor, and on here we have got a slate wire and a slate and brown that's right next to it. Again, you can go over here and out of the way. Does it work? Otherwise I've got to take the rear door card off. Can you see? I don't know if you can see. You can see now. See my R's? Right, now let's connect up the earth first and foremost, and slope them round. Right, that's going up. So swap the two wires over. Right, it's very slow. So we might have a problem with the motor still, or with the... It might just be really, really, really sticky. But probably the best thing to do with that is take the door card off, find the wires, clean the channels, put 12 volts directly to the motor, I think. Okay, plugged everything back in. Ignition position 1. Right, driver's door window, beautiful. Lots of exercise. Nicely done. Rear left. Goes down. Stops too soon, but it goes up and down. Right rear. Pretty much exactly the same fault as I had before. And it goes down, then it stops. And then it's really sticky. So I suspect that's just going to be a lubed up channel. Right, and then the passenger front window is not working. Oh, right, then it works. I could hear the relays clicking, but then it didn't want to know. So I am going to go down the route of a dry joint on the ECU. So ignition off, battery disconnect. Let's get my power probe cable over the top of the door, so I don't want to slam that in the door and break it. Disconnect battery. I'm going to get the ECU out and see what's going on with it. Then we can tidy all this wiring up down here and get it as it should be. The connectors don't look the best on here. It might just be that it needs a bloody good clean. But let's flip the back off and see where we're going. They're just held in with plastic tabs. There's nothing particularly difficult in getting these apart. Watch if you want to. You want to watch? You're into watching? There we go. Probably do it. Out. That one's out. That one's out. That's all out. I need to go over this with a loop really and look at each of the connectors and find out if one of them just needs resoldering. It's normally what they need. There's all your little relays and so forth on the board. So I don't want to damage anything because everything looks... There's some water damage around here. Look at this. Something's been leaking in there, hasn't it? I suspect we're going to find a dry joint round here. There's certainly a dry looking one there. So all I do for this is I have got a jeweler's loop, dusty jeweler's loop, and I get real down and dirty and look at each of the joints and then mark with me red pen that writes on turds each of the joints. There's water damage around here as well. I might need to give it a good clean up first of all, foremost. But if it's had water in it, it doesn't look like this is an original part of the car, because that looks like it's come from a scrapyard, if you get my drift, because they write on there with the yellow pen that writes on turds. And they mark them. So when you buy stuff on an auction site near you, you will find that they will say, oh, it's been security marked, so don't send your broken unit back in exchange for a good unit we've sent you, etc. Let's go and check this out. Right, found 3 dry joints on the ECU, which I've resoldered, and all 3 windows are opening. Interestingly, the front passenger right-hand window now opens with a lot more gusto, which is great news. So then I thought, because the problem's still not resolved on the back door here, there's only actually one screw here, because the cup at the top here, that was basically just dropped in. One screw there, and then the plungers all around the door. And then the connector for the window you come down a little bit, is just down here. So I've disconnected, because that one goes up to the switch on the door. This is what goes to the motor. Okay, so using the power probe, we put the earth onto one of the pins to sort of hold it in there. Power probe to the other, give it voltage. All right. Oh, well, the motor's working. Right, what's happening here? Let me just turn that off. I can see what's happening. Fucking thing. Right. This is not a horrific fix. Now, let me just wind this back up again. I'll turn the beep off. What's actually happening... There's the end of the regulator. Right there. Okay, can you see? Can you see? Can you see? And let's just pop that in there, and well, the regulator's not actually connected to the glass, so it looks like the drop channel has come off. Right, well, that's not too much of a problem then, really, is it? So let's get power probe out of the way. I think realistically I can have a look, but there's a reasonable chance the easiest way to fix this is to take the glass out of the door frame. Because I should now be able to, with the regulator down, I should now be able to push this glass down. And that is as far as they go down. I seem to recall them going down further than that, but no, the other side's fine. So that I could, it's very fucking tight, which is probably why the regulators come off the bottom of the glass. Now, I shall take off... I'm not going to do this by film because the camera's going to be in the way. I'm going to take off the central locking mechanism, and I should then be able to see what's going on with the motor, which is just below it, and then work out what it is I need to do. There's a lot of broken plastics on this door, so all of this mechanism around the lock is all broken. It's all kind of, someone's been in there with plastic welding and all sorts of shit going on. I'm going to be busy with the parts list on this, I tell you. Just replacing bits that have been snapped off. Right, I'm going to crack on with that. Look what I found in the bottom of the door. Well, that'll do it. Right, in order to get that back on again, realistically the glass needs to come out, which means the frame needs to come out. It's not a huge issue on these, so I'll get that out now. Right, we've got this such that the regulator works based on the switches, no problems at all. So that's all functioning. I'll just balance that down there for a moment. Balance that like that. And it works off the centre console switch as well. Tripping over everything here. Why is there a chainsaw in your workshop, Richard? You can hear it. So all of the windows now are functioning. The reason the channel came off the bottom of this glass is twofold. So first and foremost, it's rotten. So here you can see it's actually split along the bottom edge here on both ends. So it's incredibly flexible, and you can see that the inside chunk of it is rotten. Now, you used to be able to buy these for a tenner. Not anymore. No, obsolete now. Part number, where are we? MUC 1219. I'm going to double check tonight to see if I can't find a used old stock one. But the part's obsolete. And also, there was something wrong with the way the glass was installed in the channel, because it was incredibly tight. And as soon as I started loosening bolts, then it started to, the glass started to move around of its own kind of free will. So I'm not quite sure what's going on in here. One of the mounting points wasn't even fixed on, so very clearly someone had been here before. So at the bottom end of this piece here, where it goes down into the door down here, there's an L bracket down there. You can't see it because I haven't got my fucking torch with me, but never mind. There's not really a lot I can do about that. So now I've got a piece of glass with no channel on the bottom of it, a broken channel, but everything else is working, which is fabulous. Now, let's just pop that back in the car, because I don't really want that to get grubby on the floor. However, we have no glass in this door at the moment. Let's pop that to the side as well. The frame is very loosely fitted onto the car, so I'm being very careful. That locked itself. Right. I think really next steps are centre console can go back in. Now I know all this lot's here's working. And I can move forwards with other bits and bobs. Shopping list is growing. All of these bits of trim and plastic and stuff around the lock, they're all knackered and broken. That one's not too bad. That one's okay. Bits of plastic. We'll get there. It will improve. Let's take the key out. It will improve. Definitely. Right, new Defender glass channel has arrived. This is an MTCH477. The actual channel itself, where the glass goes, is exactly the same as far as I can see as the Range Rover item. Obviously, the bit where the regulator needs to go is completely different. So, what effectively I'm going to do here is chop this off like this. Take these two pieces off here, just a small, very, very small cut through those two welds there. Another 4 on the back. These bits can come off. Then drill the 4 spot welds, 5 spot welds on the back here. Weld that back on to this piece, and we have a glass channel for the back right hand side of a Range Rover. Piece of cake, eh? Right, there we go. A couple of cuts later, we've got these bits off. Now, interestingly, this one was barely even spot welded onto the bracket on the back there. I was able to more or less pull that off. So I suspect that is another example, unfortunately, of the reproduction parts that we've got available these days. Now, I won't bin these because I'm sure these will come in useful somewhere along the line. Now I just need to drill these 5 spot welds. And then, before you know it, you have one Range Rover 4-door rear window glass drop channel. Need to put the glass on that now and get it installed back in the door. Frame needs to come back out again. And then once it's all glass and frame and everything back in, then I can start fixing it in properly. I'll have working back window as well. Me. Saturday. Bright thing in sky hurting eyes.